Hi. So I'm going to tell a story. Picture this. You log on to the fully virtual after-school program in which you work, and you're told that you have to tutor a child because there are no volunteers. I know my fault, but that's not important. So you get paired with this student who needs help with her homework, which you obviously haven't taken math in a while, but you're young, you're professional, you think you can handle it, right? Wrong. Absolutely and entirely false. The nature of my work in my organization and many nonprofits in the area is kind of centered around like helping at-risk populations in numerous different areas. In this case, I work in an after-school program where I'm kind of like the go-to guy who helps with the overall functionings of the program. It kind of just boils down to if someone needs me, I just kind of get thrown in and kind of told what to do. But for most of the time, I'm lucky enough that I just kind of sit in the main room of the Zoom, looking pretty and sending students to the classes when they arrive. This specific student, who primarily only spoke Haitian Creole with minimal English skills and kind of understood French, if I spoke Creole, I probably would have been able to help her better, but unfortunately I didn't. So for the next hour and a half, we spoke broken French and tried to communicate about how to do her multiplication problems. Yes, it's exactly like when you're in 3rd grade crying at the table with your parents trying to figure out how to do your math homework. And yes, I think they did change math, or maybe I just didn't pay attention enough. Who knows? Either way, the language barrier was quite the challenge, yet in the end, we ended up finishing the homework, and I only wanted to jump out the window a couple of times. The entire premise of the semester was to gather real work experience while also developing professionally and personally. With that comes this idea of like going outside of your comfort zone and trying new things without the fear of rejection, because the program's kind of curated to ensure that you get placed at an internship with your interests, so it's kind of like you can't be rejected. But anyways, yeah, so that's cool. I was kind of unfamiliar with like the corporate language, so that was my major like setback when I was moving into my organization. They kind of talked a whole bunch of like nonprofit lingo, and I was like still in college, so there's that. It honestly took kind of all of my being not to jump out the window or say and beg for new placement, especially because most of the individuals who go to my organization speak a different language. But instances like this, when I was asked to tutor in French, was one of like the major takeaways that I learned at my organization. Obviously, I learned a lot of stuff about nonprofits, being professional, that kind of stuff. I also learned that being uncomfortable is the only chance that you'll actually experience growth. If I were to enter my internship closed-minded and unwilling to make an effort when faced with a language barrier, I probably would have missed out on a lot. And I probably would have missed out on a fantastic opportunity to make meaningful change in the lives of hundreds of people. I also would have not learned what I can do and produce in a professional environment. If you were wondering, I no longer kind of feel like this outcast in my organization. And yes, the language barrier still exists, but it's improving. And if you were wondering, we no longer ask me to do French tutoring, and I'm really bad at my math.